Joining us now on the Yuengling guest hotline. Yuengling, America's oldest brewery, 197 years young, and 6 generations. Family owned and operated, and now available in Wisconsin. Saw cases of flight yesterday when I was at the grocery store. Yuengling, DG Yuengling and Son, Pottsville, PA. Enjoy responsibly. Here's the guy who's always responsible. It's time to talk to Bryan Bulaga. Bryan, good morning. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Super. I'm curious. You obviously spent a decade in the Packers locker room. Your contract situations were never super complicated, right? You had a 5-year deal as a first round pick because that was the year before the change in the CBA, right?
Yep.
And then you signed an extension that kept you here for another 5 years. And then they said, okay, thanks a lot. We don't want you anymore. Go sign somewhere else. And you did. You went to LA. When you had other teammates, though, that were in kind of uncertain places with contracts, how did they handle it? And how were you kind of a supportive voice for them? Because unless I'm getting your financial journey wrong, you didn't face something like Elton faced last year or Keisean is facing now, where you're still under contract, but you're either underpaid or you have no real meaningful guarantees that the team's not going to move on from you a year from now.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the standpoint of going into final years and playing out your contract, I mean, I did that twice, right? I mean, clearly I did that in 2014. That was the last year of my rookie deal, and then obviously 2019, and then they didn't re-sign me. So I've gone through that experience, and whether or not you feel underpaid or you're producing more than what you're being paid, I mean, you know, I guess that's in the eye of the beholder, so to speak, right? I think every guy probably that starts in the NFL and they're going into a contract here probably believes that they're underpaid. If you don't feel that way, then you don't feel like you're performing well, and you're probably not going to be starting much longer. So, like that's, there is a part of it like that, but when guys were going through it, like, TJ went through it, Bakhtiari went through it, Sitton went through it at a point in time, Corey went through it, like guys that I played with, they would talk about it a lot. There'd be conversations in the meeting room about it, and you discuss, you don't really discuss numbers and things like that, their numbers and what they think they should be paid, that's their own personal business, right? Then obviously once the contract gets done, it kind of, you see what it is. But you just try to get guys to focus on playing their best football one game at a time. And if you can get guys to kind of hone in on that, the money's going to come, right? They're going to have, they're going to have 2 options, the Packers, that is, or the team you're with. They're going to see that and really appreciate that and think those performances will continue and you'll get rewarded financially. Or they think, well, I mean, if you're playing good football, that we're not going to be able to afford you financially, you're going to hit the market. It's one of 2 ways.
Right.
So, like, you just try to get guys in the head frame of, I know you want this done. I know you want financial security and contractual security, and you like it here and all that. But if you just focus on playing one at a time and playing your best football and grading out at a 90+% every single game, like you're giving yourself all the ammo, right? And because for myself, I went into contract years every single time.
Yeah, I got that wrong. But wait a minute, so I got that wrong. Like they did not extend you before your rookie deal ended, right?
No, yeah.
So that you went through this exact thing. That was a bad job by me. Like, what was that year like for you? Because
Yeah.
I guess when I think back at your career, that actually surprises me that I
Yeah.
A, forgot that, and B, that you had to play out that year and they didn't get a deal done with you sooner.
Yeah, I both of those were play out the contract year, and I think my rookie contract year, because I was coming off an ACL the year prior, there was a lot of nerves with it, right? There was a lot going through my mind early on in that season, especially when we go up to Seattle in that first game, and I get rolled into and I tear my MCL like immediately
Mm-hmm.
on the same
Mm-hmm.
ACL knee. Like
Mm-hmm.
so I'm sitting on the sideline in Seattle as Mackenzie's checking it, and I'm going, I blew this thing out again, and it took like a quarter and a half. Like I'm sitting here and I'm freaking out about it, and then obviously Mackenzie tested it, and he's like, it's just the MCL. I'm like, oh, just the MCL. Thank God that can heal. But I think there's nervousness that goes into that, and that's what I think guys experience if you get injured in that contract year, how that's going to impact you in the market. But for me, kind of once I got past that Seattle, MCL issue, and then I sat out a week and I started playing again, I just kind of to myself just said, like they're clearly not going to negotiate a contract midseason. Green Bay normally doesn't do that unless you're Aaron or one of the big, big names. I go, so I just have to focus on myself, and I just have to approach this. I have to approach it, and I didn't want it to be this way, but I have to approach it that I'm putting out tape for 31 other teams. And that's the way I had to go about doing it. I need to play my best football so 31 other teams can see how I'm performing at my best coming off this ACL rehab and everything like that. And that's the way I went about it in 2014, week by week. And that was one of my better seasons as a pro. So,
Mm-hmm.
So
and
Brian, with that said, and there was big news yesterday on Cheesehead TV from Jason Wilde about Keisean Nixon because he is
mhm.
the number one corner and he's making well below market value for what that is in the last year of his deal. How do you think he should approach it? Because the easy answer is just go ball out, stay healthy, have a great year, and go get paid somewhere else. But there's a lot of risk that goes with that. How would you advise him if you're his representation or if you were Keisean?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw how they dealt with Elton last year, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like first things first. Like Elton was an important piece, was a good player. Obviously, changing positions, not sticking at corner like Keyshawn is. But Green Bay, if they're not negotiating or they don't feel like negotiating or they want to wait and see, like they'll draw a hard line. So, like my recommendation would not to be go into or hold out a training camp or something like that. Like that's not my recommendation because I think Green Bay has shown, especially Goody and Ted was the same way. Ted never. I mean, if guys did that, I don't ever remember a guy doing that with Ted.
Sours
Like,
on him. Yeah.
yeah, like sitting out of camp. I've never. And listen, Ted. I love Ted because he hated training camp because guys could get hurt. But like
Right.
it was like if you sat out a training camp, like that's not a good. It's not a good thing. So I wouldn't recommend he does that. I mean, I and I know it's so cliche and it's such a lineman thing. And Tausch, you just said it. Like I would show up and like show why you deserve that contract, why you deserve an extension, why you deserve a raise, so to speak, right? And let those chips fall where they may. I get you're underpaid. Even I'm not talking about Keisean Nixon getting, what the Rams guy they just traded for got. McDuffie, is that who that is? That guy that the Rams just
I
Mm-hmm.
think so,
traded
yeah.
for and
Yeah,
re-signed.
from the
I'm
Chiefs.
not. Yeah, I'm not saying like he should be banging on the table for that by any means, but like he probably should be compensated more for what he's doing and what he's currently making and his role in the team. But like you're not going to get that from Green Bay by sitting out. Like it never really works that way in Green Bay. It never has, or at least I haven't seen it work from that standpoint. There's been
Well,
great players.
Jordan Love, it worked.
I mean, did he really
Yeah, I know.
sit out? Did he really sit out?
He didn't
He kind of
practice when he
did.
got here for
Yeah,
camp that
he did.
year.
He didn't practice last year.
And I always say it's the cases for the quarterbacks that are different
Yeah.
than
Right.
like hence why like Aaron would get a deal done mid-season. Like Aaron would get the extensions mid-season. No one really got those. That's the quarterbacks are a different story. But to me, I just like you've seen great players go into contract years in Green Bay. I have the Jordy Nelsons, the Devontae Adams. They weren't sitting out to try to request that money or get that money. They practiced, they did what they needed to do, and then normally they were financially rewarded afterwards for it. And if Keisean
Would you
Nixon,
have given Devontae? Would you have given Devontae the same advice you're giving Keyshawn now? Like if in 2021 they don't get a deal done going into camp, and he's like, "Look, I'm not going to give up money. I'm going to practice." He ends up having one of the greatest seasons of a player who was in a contract year ever, right? And I
yep,
think I would hope we can all agree that the line of succession at wide receiver would have been much more stable and logical had they signed him to an extension and not traded him. But would you have told him the same thing, or was he at an almost quarterback level where maybe he could have pulled it off by not taking part in camp that year?
I think he was at the level at that point in his career that he could have done that. Like
Yeah,
I
I
think we're
agree.
like not Tay's first time at the apple, right? Not the
Right.
first bite at the apple with the contract, but that second time around, where he was from a status standpoint as a wide receiver, like he was a top 5 receiver in the league. Like and
Mhm.
obviously the way he went out and performed that year kind of proved it, and showed what he was about. So like, yeah, I think he could have done it and gotten away with it, honestly, and I think it probably would have worked. But I just think Keisean
And
Nixon. I mean,
Keyshawn's not there.
yeah,
No, he's not.
I don't think he's there. But with the new D coordinator and another new scheme and things like that, if he performs well and plays well, Green Bay, we'll just put it this way, they don't have tons of options at corner. And then to say, oh, we're going to go back into the market and try to buy one or draft another one. Well, now that you're going to spend way more money in the market buying one, right? And then
Mhm.
if you draft one again early, you're back at square one with again a very young room with not a lot of experience. So if he steps in, if Nixon plays this year and plays really well, I think he gets that reward. I think he gets that extension, and I understand there's risk to it. Um, I've done it. A lot of guys in Green Bay have done it. A lot of guys around the league do it. It's almost like you bet on yourself. You bet on
Yeah.
yourself that you're going to get it done and you're going
Yeah,
to perform
Blue.
at a high level.
Blue, I agree with everything you're saying right there, but I just don't think if the Packers viewed Keyshawn as a number one guy, they would have paid him less than what you were talking about. Some of these top corners, the guy from the Rams, they would have already done it, right? They've done it
Mhm.
with Watson. They've done it with Jaden Reed, where you get a little bit below the market rate for what those guys are. The Packers will tell you how they feel by how they operate with the finances. That's kind of how this goes. Is that not? Is that a fair
Mhm.
assessment?
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I think you look at where Keyshawn is on their priority of getting contract level done, though, right? Like I think you look at guys that they're going to want to get knocked out first, and obviously the
Tucker.
few. Yeah, Tucker is next. I think there's no doubt about that he'll be the next one in the pipeline to get his deal done, and then probably if they can figure it out with Keisean Nixon or not. I think that's kind of like it's understanding kind of where
Do you think
the
they want to? Do you think they want to, or do you think they're fine playing this out and then seeing where the market goes?
And
Because
getting somebody
I don't think
else.
I don't think they want to have a 30-year-old corner.
He's 28 right now, by the way, just to be
Okay,
clear.
so he'll be when is he 29?
That I
Like
don't
that.
have for you.
All right. Well, he's at that age where you're not going to
yeah,
be sitting there paying top dollar for a 5-year contract, right?
yes,
It
yes.
just feels like to me they're content with this. This is going to be we'll play this year out, and if we need to, we can do some things in the next year or two. But I don't envision them saying he is our guy. He's our top corner. We're paying him top dollar for the next 4 or 5 years, and to keep him, I don't see that happening. I don't care what kind of year he has this year.
No, I don't see him getting like a 4 or 5 year extension. Like if that were to come to fruition, I think it'd be like a 2 year
No.
Yeah.
extension, and is that what the player wants? That's kind of where I agree with you with Green Bay. how they're going to probably operate, right? If he performs well this year, which I think, listen, I think he can. I think he has it in him. I really do. It's just, will Green Bay look at that as like a 2-year extension?
Yeah, Green Bay would Keisean. And
Yeah.
the thing is, Keisean Nixon has been a real, I mean, for the value, he has been a great value to the Green Bay Packers for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
A great
Massive.
value.
Yes.
So when you look at this thing and he plays, I know people on Twitter and on social media will say, well, look at that tackle at the goal line. And he got beat, in the game against the Bears at Soldier Field. But for the most part, for what Green Bay's paid and how he's played, we should be saying that's pretty dang good. Great job, Goody. Now, Jason brought it up. Does that mean he should be the number 1 corner? No. Boy, but if he was the number 2 corner and this was the case, everybody would be saying that's pretty dang good. And let's sign him to I don't know what a second corner gets, 17, 18 million a year for a couple of years. That to me would make a ton of sense. But he's declared himself the number 1 corner. He is the number 1 corner, and that muddies this whole situation. Keisean, the market will always tell you where you're at. And I think the only way Keisean finds that out is by playing this year out and then seeing how it falls. And if he does that, I just don't think it's going to be back in Green Bay.
I mean, you those are very good points. Every one of them is a very good point. I agree with that. I think because he has declared himself the number 1 and he wants to be paid like a number 1 and things like that. That is going to muddy the waters on this, right? And based on that cornerback room right now, he is the number 1 corner, right? Like that's just the situation that Green Bay's kind of put themselves in with how they've built that room up and the guys that are in and out and things like that. So that's the situation they've put themselves in. And I don't, if he was technically the number 2 corner, right, and say this was a world we were living in when, Jair was still around and Jair was the number 1 guy and he was just the number 2 guy. Yeah, I think he would be paid probably already, in my opinion, right? I think they would have worked out an extension for him already to get him, like you said, whatever that is, 16, 17, 18, whatever that number may be, for those guys. And I think this would be a non-issue. But since you declare I'm the number 1 guy, there's financial there's financial tags that come with that, and I think that's probably too rich for Green Bay's blood at this point. And
he should want that. If he feels that way and somebody else does, he should want that.
Yes.
Whether or not the league feels that way, Pro Football Focus would say no, but it only takes 1.
Yeah, I'm not telling him to not shoot for the stars on this one. Like, hey man, try to get every single dime that
Chase
you can.
The dream, though, not the fame, Blue. Chase the dream, not the fame. That's what a wise T-shirt once told me.
T-shirt once said. All right, Matt LaFleur